What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Wondrous Brewing Company, and they're out of Emeryville, California, and this is their GROMKY. So they're calling this one a West Coast Pilsner that comes in at 5.7% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review, and this can is approximately 2 months old. I want to give a huge thanks, shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Jesse, for this beer, so big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Jesse hooked me up with, and I have reviewed 2 beers from Wondrous on the channel to this point. Their Helles Lager and their PaTroll Pils, both sent to me by Jesse, and they were quite tasty, both of them. I probably like the Helles a little bit more, but the PaTroll Pils was quite tasty. And this is the other one he sent my way, and they are calling it a West Coast Pilsner. I've seen that moniker over the past 6 months from a lot of different breweries. Basically, it's kind of like an IPL. They're taking like a base Pilsner, a lot of times it's a German Pilsner, and then kind of like hopping it with like some West Coast hops and kind of giving a little bit more of a hop forward kind of feel to the beer. Now this one says lager made with barley, water, Mosaic hops, and yeast. Apparently no water in this whatsoever. But yeah, it also says brewed in small batches, and yeah, I just love the artwork too. Very bright and vibrant. So let's crack into this one, get it into the glass. So like I said, this is essentially a West Coast Mosaic Pilsner, and I'm here for it. Hopefully it kind of drinks like an old school like IPL. IPLs I love. I mean, they're kind of like, you know, IPAs, but just lagered, and it makes it more refreshing. You see a lot of breweries doing like the cold IPAs, or like cold IPAs kind of have like that West Coast kind of IPA feel, but a lot of times they're either lagered or have a lager essence to them. So anyway, I'll tell you what, I poured that. It smells bonkers. There's like dank blueberries and raspberries with like a sweeter, almost like peach mango, just from pouring it from that distance. It's crazy right now. So yeah, that has a nice lager vibe to it, a little bit more hazy though. I mean, I can make my hand out, but it does have a nice general slight haze to it. Has a really crispy looking, I'd say like that's a yellow gold color. About a finger of a bright white soap sudsy looking head, some decent carbonation. In the Fines glass with the Fines like sky blue, light blue. Matches perfectly with the can. Doesn't matter, it does not. I still think it's cool. Anyway, let's get a nose. Yeah, this is 2 months old. This is fucking wild how fresh this smells right now. Yeah, it's dank blueberry, it's pineapple, it's again, stone fruits, like, I would say more of like an overripened peach, apricot, maybe even like a passion fruit. This is wild how complex the nose is. Yeah, almost slightly candied, but then there's a nice like slight piney, almost pine sap, floral kind of tone as well. There's a little bit of that like biscuity, crackery malt base from the base of Pilsner, but I will tell you right now, this smells more of like a cold IPA that's been lagered, or even just like an old school IPL, or even like a, you know, it has West Coast IPA vibes, of course, being a lager, but it definitely has a West Coast vibe to it. Oh, it smells so good. I mean, I've had some West Coast beers recently. The Wet Hopped Headhunter, which you'll see this review maybe like a week after I post that one. That's been one of the best West Coast IPAs I've had. And it's like more of like a modern take on a West Coast IPA, which is kind of what this is. But obviously a West Coast Pilsner. But it just has that vibrancy to the fruit character and like the pine and all the hop character is just super fresh. And again, this is 2 months old. Yeah, it smells a dynamite, but if I was doing this blind, I don't think I'd necessarily say this was a West Coast Pilsner. The furthest I'd go is an IPL, I'd probably say. But anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Jesse. Yeah, it's very akin to that PaTroll Pils that he sent my way in the same box that I shared with the FLX boys, Dan and Mike. Go check out their channel, great dudes. And that came off more as like Motueka or like a lemon lime kind of like burst with a base Pilsner. And this is coming off as a West Coast kind of, you know, hop feel to it with a base Pilsner, especially in the taste. The nose, again, lean a little bit more IPL or like even IPA, but in the taste, it's definitely lager-esque. But this is like lower side of medium, higher side of light, a little bit thin, but I like that. It makes it way more refreshing. It's light on its feet, so I could crush a ton of these. The body's not bogging me down. It's 5.7. I don't expect it to, but I think it might be a little bit lighter than I was expecting, but it works. The mouthfeel, it's crisp. It's like mild to moderately carbonated, but it has such a smooth essence on the palate. The taste, I mean, the nose carries over, but the one main difference is that I am getting that base Pilsner, especially the malt character to it. Right at the forefront, I'm hit with I'd say more of a biscuity, crackery kind of malt character. Dives underneath the palate, it's omnipresent everywhere, but it's the underlying note throughout the entire beer, aside right from the tip of the tongue. And what's riding over top of that biscuity, crackery malt base is a lot of great hop character. Forefront, there's a little bit of citrus. So that's where some of the West Coast coming into. Like it's has like a white grapefruit, a little bit of like a navel orange, citrus characters, right? Maybe even a touch of a lemon lime in there. Midway through the palate is where I get a pop of that dank blueberry, I would say specifically. A lot of times Mosaic kicks out berry. Back in the day, it used to be blueberry. Somehow it morphed into dank blueberry. Nowadays, I get a bunch of different berry from Mosaic, depending on where they're getting the Mosaic, what kind of Mosaic hop it is. There's a lot of variations of the hop itself, so it's not always that dank blueberry in general, but here it's definitely dank blueberry. Then right after that, a little bit of that stone fruit I was talking about, peach, mango, apricot, overripe and sweeter. But the second half of the palate, where it transitions into more of the West Coast feel outside of that citrus, there's a nice, I would say like mild to moderate piney kind of feeling. It's floral. It finishes with a approaching moderate bitterness. So this doesn't have like the bitterness a West Coast IPA does, but it definitely has a bitterness that is a bit more than a typical regular like German or Czech style Pilsner. So it has a mild to moderate bitterness, more approaching moderate. It's a semi-dry finish. This is very well balanced and just super crushable. Like they're calling it West Coast Pilsner. And again, nowadays it's tough to be different, be unique, maybe be very creative too with new styles people are creating at this point. You've seen cold IPAs over the last couple of years starting to take off, or a lot of breweries doing it. And I've seen a lot of West Coast Pilsners, which essentially is just a more hop-forward Pilsner, right? But people see West Coast Pilsner, they're probably like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me give it a go. This works for what it is. I think at its core, it's basically an IPL, more or less. But as an IPL, it's also really good. I don't like it, I don't think, as much as the Helles Lager from them, because that was just like a pure classic take on the style. Or the Petrine Pils, which was very akin to this, but I think it was more, I don't know, I think the hop specifically shined more, but it shined in a way that I thought was Motueka more so than Petrine. This is just West Coast Pilsner or West Coast Mosaic Pilsner. I think the Mosaic's definitely shining in here, but I don't think it works as much as as the Petrine Pils or the Helles, but it's still pretty good. So one more sip and we'll lock in a score. My nose is running. I want to grab something, and I don't have any. I'm looking nearby. I don't have anything to wipe my nose, so I want to shut down this review. So, GROMKY from Wondrous, absolutely no issues whatsoever. I'm giving this beer a low 4.25 out of 5, go 4.2. I think I gave those other two like 4.3 and 4.35, but this is definitely a 4.2. It's in the realm of those beers, and I will say this, and I've said this now in all of the reviews from Jesse from Wondrous, that is, I want to drink more from them. I wish we got their stuff here locally. We do not, but they know what they're doing, especially when it comes to the lagers. I've just enjoyed the two like hop forward Pilsners I've had from them, and I've also enjoyed their Helles Lager. Just really good stuff. Here's where it goes a bit sideways for me when it comes to Wondrous and just West Coast beers in general. I get it, it's California, it's gonna be more expensive. This was on the website, still available when he originally sent it, and I tried to find out the price. $20 a 4-pack. I'm not paying that. Even as good as this is, $5 a can is I don't know. I don't think I'd pay that again. Maybe to buy a single can, but $5 for a 5.7% West Coast Pilsner is just bonkers. I mean, you can buy all kinds of crazy like 8, 9, 10, 12% beers that have a bunch of different adjuncts and crazy shit going on in them, all different styles for around the same price here in Buffalo, New York. So that is crazy. But if they saw a distro, I don't even know what that would be. Like if it's $20 4-pack at the brewery, if I saw this in Buffalo, if they just started showing up as a $6, $7 can, no way I'm paying that. So the value is in the eye of the beholder, like I always say, but with this beer specifically, I don't think I would buy it at $5. The Helles Lager, I don't think it's as much. I think it's more like 16 or 18. I'd much more lean towards that one, even though it is pricey. And availability, I don't know with Wondrous. I just know Jesse gets his hands on them. I'm pretty sure they're available in California. Outside of that, I've never seen them here in Buffalo. So if anybody knows their distro or has more of a idea of it, post in the comment section. I'd really appreciate it. If you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. Like I said, Wondrous is a 3 for 3. They just do a really, their lagers are so well made, and you can tell it's quality through and through, and that's what I appreciate about them. I appreciate Jesse sending the 3 that he has to me over the past year, and I hope I get a chance to try more from them. So huge thanks to Jesse for this beer. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here in the Beer Patrol. 5.7%, you can't taste it, you shouldn't, and I'm still going to mention it in all the reviews when it's like a sub 6% beer, but if I forget in some reviews, then you know I didn't taste it. It's very rare for a sub 6% beer to be like, oh yeah, that tastes like, or that has an alcohol kick to it. It just doesn't happen, so I don't mention it. So anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.